Sylvia. Growing up with parents who suffered from addiction, Omari Amili had few role models in his life to show him what it means to be successful. Eventually, the path he chose led him to prison, which changed his life forever. Let's watch this video on Omari to get to know him.
In like the 4th or 5th grade, I started running the streets and hustling. And it started with stealing clothes and conning people out of money. And eventually, as I got older, it just grew into more and more criminal behavior. My parents were addicted to drugs. They had a crack cocaine addiction, and this led to a real unstable upbringing. I went to over 15 schools growing up. So by the time I was around 17, 18, I got involved in a bank fraud scheme. I had dropped out of school permanently by then. What that was my path to prison. When I released from prison in 2008, that's when I decided I was going to enroll at Pierce College, and I ended up going there, and education was able to transform my life. When I got to Pierce, that was the first time I was actually able to see success academically. I was able to see my potential. The main thing that stands out about Pierce is like, when I walked in that door, I wasn't like a convict or a felon and being separated from other people. I was just a college student. When you begin your life as a college student, you start to refer to yourself as such. You start to, like my family, the way that they started to look at me. I became someone who can be fresh out of prison. I got out of prison in 2008. That same year, I became a role model to people in my family, because I enrolled in college at Pierce.
Frelimo Omari Amili.
The graduation at Pierce, it felt amazing. That was the only one where both my mom and my dad were in attendance. They were both there to see me walk across the stage and graduate after failing to graduate from high school. So it felt real good to be able to give them that. I ended up going to UW-Tacoma after my time at Pierce. So I graduated from Pierce in June 2011, and by September 2011, I was starting at UW-Tacoma. I wanted to go get a master's degree in social work. And the focus was to work with disadvantaged youth. I wanted to help people from backgrounds similar to mine. After I graduated with my master's at UW-Tacoma, I graduated in December 2016. By March 2017, I was hired by South Seattle College to work as a faculty member and a case manager. So I was working directly with people who were coming out of the criminal justice system. So I did that from March until December 2017. In between, I was doing a lot of public speaking, sharing my story in a lot of different settings. Right now, I'm doing a lot with my book. My book, Transforming Society's Failure, it was released last year. There's actually an audio book that's coming out soon. We're gonna be shooting a video version of that story soon as well. When I wrote the book, I wrote it just to get my experiences out there. I knew that the story needed to be shared. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I didn't give up. I faced a lot of adversity going through college. Like when I started at Pierce, I had my mom, I had my dad, I had my sister, I had my stepdad. They all passed away during my journey. What really kept me going was that fact that once I made the commitment, I was like, I gotta follow it through, Like this is my only way to make anything of myself. If I had quit school with 30 felonies on my record, the history, the background that I had, what would I have been quitting for? What would I have been turning to? I feel like that would have been basically a sign of me going back to a life of crime. It would have been a sign of me, really giving up on life, period. Giving up on college would have been giving up on life, because college allowed me to make a new life for myself. I follow it through, Like this is my only way to make anything of myself. If I had quit school with 30 felonies on my record, the history, the background that I had, what would I have been quitting for? What would I have been turning to? I felt like that would have been basically a sign of me going back to a life of crime. It would have been a sign of me, really giving up on life, period. Giving up on college would have been giving up on life, because college allowed me to make a new life for myself. Thank you for that warm welcome. I want to thank Kate and Matt for providing a platform to share my story. That really opened the door for me coming back and being here today. I also want to thank anyone else at Pierce College who played a role in voting or just anything that had to do with me being here and winning this award today. I've never had a trophy before in my life. I haven't really been acknowledged for too many things. And I also want to thank, Amanda and the organization I'm a part of. I'm the co-chair of an organization called Civil Survival, which works for, advocating for the rights of formerly incarcerated people. I want to thank Amanda for being here, Karen, Alex, Christopher Beasley, representing Civil Survival. And I also want to thank my family and friends that are in attendance, my sister Sarita, my sister Yakini, my friend Sean Worthy, my friend Christopher Johnston. I really appreciate you guys being here and supporting me. So I'll share with you guys just a couple reasons why Pierce College was super important to me. When I first came here, as you saw in the video, I was fresh out of prison. I was 23 years old. I had 30 felonies on my record. Never really had any work experience like that. And if you look at the statistics, you look at the outcomes for a lot of other people in my situation, the future didn't look too bright. You never would have thought, that I would be where I am right now. Like I said, I had a GED at that time. I was a dropout. I didn't graduate from high school. I honestly don't know how I passed the GED test. I didn't prepare for it, study anything. I just went and took it and passed it. So one of the things I want to share with you guys is that enrolling at Pierce College, fresh out of prison, like I said in this video, allowed me to become a role model. It gave me my mom a reason to be proud of me, and that was one of the major benefits of just enrolling. I hadn't earned a degree yet. I hadn't done anything, but I was a college student. I was in a class preparing to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and that made my mom so proud. She used to brag to everybody, tell them that I was a counselor when I was just in school to be one. I don't know if you guys heard that 2 Chainz song that's out right now. I just want to make my mama proud. Yeah, I ain't trying to let my mama down. My mama ain't raised no, I don't know if you guys know that song, but that's what Pierce College did for me. It allowed me to make my mom proud, and that is a gift that I could never replace. My mom's not here with me anymore, so when she saw me walk across that stage at Pierce College, I know that was probably one of the greatest moments of her life and mine. So, second thing I want to share with you guys. So I was hired, after I got my master's degree from UW-Tacoma, I met a guy named Hector Ortiz. He introduced me to a guy named Joe Garcia, who introduced me to a guy named Keith Marler. And after that, I became a faculty member and case manager at South Seattle College. For me, the most money I'd ever made legally in a year was, it was like $6,000, And they gave me an opportunity where last year I made over $50,000 legally. I actually had to file a tax return, and it was great. But the thing is, I was working at local Department of Corrections offices. As someone who had been incarcerated in the Department of Corrections, someone who was on supervision for 3 years as a DOSA recipient, I actually worked inside these DOC field offices, teaching students life skills, how to, make some of the similar changes that I made. I remember whenever I would have a student in my class who didn't have a high school diploma or GED, I would try to use my story to motivate them. Like, look, this GED, you never know what it could lead you to. I'm right here in front of you today because I took that step to get my GED. And I remember there was one student who I was constantly trying to encourage him to get his GED, because when you get your GED and enter those classes, you leave our life skills class. And I was telling him, like, this would be way better for you. One day he stopped coming to class, and a couple months later, I had a conversation with his probation officer, and come to find out, the guy had got shot in the head and had been in a coma ever since I didn't see him anymore. So me having a GED and enrolling at Pierce College, it allowed me to avoid those situations. By having that, spending my time as a college student doing schoolwork, studying, and things like that, it allowed me to spend my times where instead of taking risks, I'm growing and developing. And to me, that's the importance of Pierce College. So thank you.
Thank you, Omari. Thank you for reminding us that Everyone has potential. And just a little investment can go a long way to changing someone's life. Thank you so much for sharing your story.